Welcome to Table Flippers Podcast, an outreach of Greater Works Christian Church here in Lancaster, California. I am your host, Robert Enos. If you like what you hear, visit us at gwcclancaster.org. That's gwcclancaster.org. Find the Table Flippers link, click on it, and you'll get to our merchandise. Now, get ready for a huge dose of truth and a huge dose of common sense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. I just published an episode, a follow-up to the Dr. Weiss saga, and I just put that up today, just a few minutes ago. And I'm sitting down doing another episode because I'm just kind of following up on some stories. Not so much a story in itself. I'm going to talk to you about the Riley Gaines saga. I just like that word, so until I wear it out, I'll probably be saying it a lot. Saga. Anyways, Riley Gaines was this swimmer of the University of Kentucky, who was recently in San Francisco speaking, and then was attacked. She was attacked by a man wearing a dress. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I keep saying this. I know we hear from the trans movement and from those who support the trans movement that all they want is just acceptance. They're peaceful. They're peace-loving. They're just men running around in dresses and makeup, or women with short, buzzy hair wanting to act like a man, that we just should accept it as normal and acceptable. But then the moment you say something that they don't like, they'll come and shoot up your school, kill 6 people, 3 children. Yeah, that Tennessee shooter was a female who thought she was a man, trans. They will plot, and if they're given a chance, they will go shoot up other schools. As in Colorado recently, they caught the person, thank God, before this person can go shoot up some schools. But this boy who thought it was a girl was going to go in and shoot up some schools. Okay, you have all these other mass shootings, many of them transgender people, okay? And now you have this University of Kentucky swimmer, or former University of Kentucky swimmer, Riley Gaines, being attacked by one of these peaceful, peace-loving, all-inclusive transgender people. And they talk about inclusivity, but that's just code for if you don't agree with us and accept us the way we demand you accept us, we will not only exclude you, but we might march into your place of business, we might march into your school, we might march into your home and just shoot you, attack you, beat you up, and then go on a rant telling everybody else that we're the innocent ones and you normal people, you straight people, you transphobic people, you're the one to be blamed. You're at fault. Well, I'm sick and tired of these straightophobes, normalophobes, common senseophobes going around and calling us names, shooting at us, beating us up. And what are we doing? We're just saying like, hey, no, if you're born a male, you're a male. If you're born a female, you're a female. That's all there is to it. You want to put a dress on it, wrap it in lipstick, whatever. Still a boy. You want to buzz the hair down and put on some, pants and a t-shirt or whatever the transgender women wanting to act like men do. It's still a woman. Do whatever you want. Just don't expect the rest of us to, agree with or partake in your delusion and your fantasy. You want to have your fantasy? Keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself. Anyways, let me read this. This is published today, April 11th, Eastern Standard Time, 5:31 p.m. Oh, this is like brand new then. And April 11th, 2023, it says Riley Gaines rips Nike for partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. They can forget taking my money. This is so incredibly degrading, Riley Gaines said. That was the title and the subtitle. And this is by Ryan Morick of Fox News. Former University of Kentucky swimmer Riley Gaines slammed Nike's decision to to make transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney a paid spokesperson. So I'm assuming now, because everything else I read about this Dylan Mulvaney and at least Bud Light and then Nike was they were in partnership. I assumed it was paid partnership, but it never made it clear. So at least in this article, it's this person, Dylan, this man dressed like a woman, Dylan Mulvaney, is a paid spokesperson. I assumed it was, but I didn't want to, broadcast my assumptions. It says Gaines appeared on Outkicks, the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show, and joked that she has not been given an offer from Nike. Well, Nike, you really messed up on that. I'm going to tell you right now, this Dylan Mulvaney is not going to sell many of your sports bras. I'm looking at a picture right now of Riley Gaines, and I would just assume, just again, one of my assumptions, that you would have done a lot better using Riley Gaines to sell your sports bras. Just my opinion. Anyways, she goes on to say, and I don't anticipate that happening. I don't know if they can understand the mockery Mulvaney's deal makes of women, and it does. This is a mockery to women, and every real, true woman should rise up and say enough's enough. Anyways, they don't understand the mockery Mulvaney's deal makes of women, especially the video of Dylan, I guess, portraying what he thinks women look like when we work out, doing jumping jacks and doing different things. That is so incredibly degrading. And for Nike to take this stance, they can forget taking my money. And I've talked to a lot of female athletes who agree with exactly everything I just said. I totally agree with that. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I was at the gym yesterday, and at this particular gym, there is real women and there is real men working out there, and I really appreciate that more than you know. And one of the young ladies came up to me, and we were just chatting just briefly. Actually, I was trying to get out of my class for just a moment to catch my breath, so I'm just messing. But I was talking to her, and she says, "I really appreciate your podcast. I do my best to keep up on them. They're so good." And she says, "I totally agree with you." And she goes, I am so glad that some conservative voices out there like you are willing to say, speak up for us." So here's another young lady, a real woman, all right, that again, Nike, you missed it. Because now I highly doubt, maybe she will, but I highly doubt that she's ever going to buy another one of your products again, at least for a very, 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 very long time. And not anytime real soon. So, yeah, you messed up. And listen, all you got to do, Nike, I don't know what the problem is. Are there no women, real women, true women around you? I mean, just give me a call. I could put you in touch with some. My wife would be a fantastic model for a sports bra or leggings or anything else. And although we don't drink beer, alcohol, or anything like that, she would even be looking good on a Bud Light can. It will never happen now because I'm not going to let her degrade herself after the stunts Nike and Bud Light pulled. But I'm just saying it would have been a much better choice. Some of you remember Phyllis Diller. I would rather have seen Phyllis Diller jumping around in a Nike sports bra than Dylan Mulvaney. And certainly would have enjoyed Phyllis Diller's face on a Bud Light can more than Dylan Mulvaney. Just saying. If you don't know who Phyllis Diller is, look her up. Google it. So, anyways, let me get back to this. Gaines was recently, now listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Gaines was recently hit multiple times by a guy in a dress at San Francisco State University, and she says faux feminists are scared to act after the incident. Faux feminists. By the way, it was, I think I said that word correctly, F-A-U-X, faux feminists. Well, to be totally frank, people are scared because look at what just happened to me for saying something as simple as men and women are different, Gaines said. That's easy, right? That's common sense, yet I was still ambushed. No one wants that to happen to them. No one wants to be labeled a transphobic. She also said campus police were terrified to do their job, as protesters believed they were only protecting Gaines because she is white. What? So now, if a police officer protects somebody who is already ambushed and hit, and a police officer protects them from being hit again or ambushed again, suddenly they're racist? San Francisco, what's going on up there? I knew you were the fruitcake capital of the world, but this is getting absolutely over the top ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, so now all the cops are racist, and Gaines is a transphobic, all for saying men and women are different. Interesting. She goes on to say, to which they pretty openly admitted they didn't want to be accused of being racist. She said these police were put in a position where they didn't want to risk their jobs. They didn't want to be seen as anything other than an ally to that community. And so it did hinder their performance. I don't even know what to say to this, because I have very, very, very little patience or respect for people that will not do the right thing, and in this case, not even do their job and the right thing, simply because they don't want to be labeled a racist, and maybe even possibly lose their job over that label. And then what good is that job in the first place if you can't even do your job? Or you're too scared, too cowardly to do your job. What good is the job? That tells me then you're not there because you're passionate about protecting people, serving and protecting the community around you. You're there just for a paycheck. Well, officers there in San Francisco, you can go get a paycheck somewhere else and not ever have to worry about this. If your heart is not in it as a law enforcement officer, a protector of the innocent, then get out and let somebody with some courage and some backbone take that job. Anyways, let me go on. Gaines recently criticized athletes like Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird for being on the side of biological males participating in female sports, despite their work to put women's sports in a positive light. In a string of tweets, she accused Rapinoe of virtue signaling and went at the pair further with outkick. It's going to be funny if this Rapinoe ever has to go head to head with a male who thinks it's a female out on the soccer field. She's going to get her butt whipped. She's good when it comes to female athletics, but toe-to-toe with a man, whether that man likes to put on lipstick or not, she's going to get her butt whipped. And this is nothing against ladies at all. We just have to get back to the traditional, old-fashioned values that yes, men and women are different. There's going to be some things that women are so much better at than men, and there's going to be some things that men are better at than women. And when we can finally accept that, we'll get back to a society that actually works and functions as it should. And we can start celebrating one another's differences. We can start celebrating one another's strengths. And we can step in and be strong. Men can be strong for women in the area of their weaknesses, and women can be strong for men in the area of their weaknesses. And it'll win, and it'll work again. So, in a weird way, even though I'm totally against women, regardless of what they feel, men, regardless of what they feel or the type of dress or the color of lipstick they put on playing in female sports, I would still like to see that happen with this Megan Rapinoe, just one game, Anyways, nonetheless. Riley Gaines goes on to say, of course it's ironic, but they want to be seen as inclusive and kind and accepting and welcoming and loving and all the things, which of course, who doesn't want to be seen as those things? She said, but, newsflash, it's not inclusive to allow men to take a podium spot from a woman. It's exclusive, and it's not kind to allow a male equipped with male genitalia to change in a locker room with girls. That's not kind, that's not inclusive, and I have to agree with that. Mulvaney recently partnered with Nike and Bud Light, both of which have been met with backlash, including from Caitlyn Jenner. Now, if you don't know who Caitlyn Jenner is, that's actually Bruce Jenner, former Olympian, and I think Bruce Jenner, when he was still Bruce Jenner, graced the box of, was it Wheaties? One of those cereals back in the day. And he was very, very well known, an icon in the world of sports. And then he decided, the Kardashians broke him, actually. The Kardashians completely broke him. And that's what these Kardashian women do to men. Men, stay away from the Kardashians. You go in with a muscle shirt, you come out with a dress and makeup on. I'm just saying. But this Bruce Jenner, that's what happened to him. Went in, a great athlete. He came out wearing a dress and makeup and confused about who he was and what he was. So now Bruce Jenner, who wants to be known as Caitlyn Jenner, has even come out against it. Let me continue this article. As someone that grew up in the awe of what Phil Knight did, it is a shame to see such an iconic American company go so woke. We can be inclusive, but not at the expense of the mass majority of people, and have some decency while being inclusive. This is an outrage, the 1976 Olympic gold medalist tweeted. So I guess that was Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner, that said that. Isn't it interesting that here's a man that dresses and acts like a woman and still has enough common sense to say, no, this isn't right. This isn't right at all. Anyways, let me go on. It says equality, inclusivity. Stop trying to erase women. The difference between men and women are real and are a good thing. It doesn't make trans people a bad thing either. Why is it so black and white with radical rainbow mafia? I like that, radical rainbow mafia. In a social media post Friday, Nike said they welcome comments that contribute to a positive and constructive discussion. Be kind, be inclusive, encourage each other. Hate speech, bullying, or other behaviors that are not in the spirit of a diverse and inclusive community will be deleted. So check this out. So Nike comes out and says, we're going to delete, this speech or these tweets or whatever they want to call it, these posts, comments that are not in the spirit, as they said, in the spirit of a diverse and inclusive community. They'll delete them. So if they get up there and they see something that they view as not kind or not inclusive or not encouraging or hate speech or bullying or other behaviors that are not in the spirit of a diverse and inclusive community, they're going to just go ahead and delete those. So much for inclusivity. So much for an wide open door with arms wide open, ready to embrace everybody that comes in. So much for this whole idea of, again, inclusivity. Inclusivity to me should mean that even though we disagree, we can at least agree to be in the same place and be cordial and kind to one another. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I come on this podcast just to basically, I want to have a little bit of fun, but also bring about a little bit of news. But this is not necessarily a news podcast. This is my commentary upon some things that are happening in the news. But when I step out of here and I tell the truth, this is not a double-mindedness on my part, because I always, when I'm around certain people, for instance, let's get off the transgender thing for just a moment. Let me assume for just a moment that I go on here and do a episode on adultery, adulterers and adultery, people that cheat. I'm not going to have a lot of nice things to say about people who cheat on their spouse. I'm not going to have a lot of nice things to say about people who commit adultery. I'm just not. I know it's a sin. It's a sin that causes one to be hellbound, unless they repent. This is one of the big no-nos, one of the big 10, the 10 commandments, thou shalt not commit adultery. So to me, I think it's vile. I think it's wicked. I think it's evil. I think it's unrighteous. And that person really needs to get on their face before God and cry out for forgiveness. And they need to go make it right with their spouse. Even if it led to divorce and they're 20 years apart, they need to go and make it right with their spouse. What I mean by that is, apologize, deeply apologize, repent, and do whatever they can possibly do within reason to repair the pain and the hurt that they cause in the heart of their spouse or ex-spouse. Okay, with that being said, if I was to publish an episode hard-hitting on adulterers and adultery, and then I go out and I'm in the room somewhere and somebody introduces me to somebody that I know is in adultery. We're at a luncheon, we're at some kind of meeting, or out on the street, whatever, in the gym. I could shake their hand, smile, and say, hello, it's nice to meet you, because I mean that. Doesn't mean that I'm a hypocrite. It means I'm being kind. And if the door ever gets opened, or it's ever, we ever in any way develop some type of relationship where I have that open door, I will call them on it personally. But at the same time, I'm not going to hide my viewpoint at all on it. I am not going to hide. As a matter of fact, there was a time years ago, I worked with a gentleman that was having an affair, and I worked with this guy. I was cordial and everything. And there was rumors that he was having an affair. But then the guy did something very moronic and brought his girlfriend to one of the parties that we had, with our coworkers. And no longer was it a rumor. No longer was it just hearsay. No longer it was, these people talking behind his back or anything like this. Here he is, holding hands with her, introducing her to everybody. And my jaw just dropped because I think, is he really this stupid? Because everybody knew his wife, but nobody had the courage to tell her. So I told her. And just let the chips fall where they may. Well, that wasn't your place. Yes, it is my place. It wasn't my place to start something based upon a rumor. But once the rumor was no longer a rumor, yeah, it was my place to say something. Okay, but I was cordial. I was kind. Even then, the guy was really mad at me. So I was like, that's your fault, dude. You brought this woman. He was really mad at me. He didn't want to talk to me for a long time. Probably wanted to beat me up. But it was like I still did my best to be cordial and kind to him. So the reason I'm saying that is it's the same way with everything else. I'll tell you right now, I completely 100% disagree with the whole transphobia, the transgenderism thing. It's a mental illness. And this is not an opinion. The reality of it is, truthfully, it is a mental illness. And I'm not going to play that game, and I'm not going to get involved on their fantasy. But if somebody introduced another person to me, I knew that was a man in a dress. I mean, clearly that's a man in a dress. I'm going to be cordial. I'll stick my hand out. I'll shake their hand. I'll shake their hand. I'll say hello. How are you? How you doing? Nice to meet you. But if we ever got into a place, if that person ever asked me, what do you think about transgender? I would have no problem telling them. No problem at all. So anyways, on one hand, yes, we are to be kind, but on the other hand, we're supposed to speak up when it's appropriate to speak up. And a lot of you have missed your opportunity many times over. So anyways, let's go on. I don't want to get caught up on that. So Nike again said that they welcome comments that contribute to a positive and constructive discussion. Okay, they welcome those comments, and they want it to be about inclusivity. However, they're going to exclude people and comments that they don't like. That's the double-minded hypocrisy of these people, and especially Nike. So here's this Riley Gaines who's standing up, making, I don't know, I almost said making a name for herself, and I guess she is in a way, but she's doing it simply because she's standing up for common sense. And why Nike didn't hire her to model sports bras and leggings instead of some dude trying to live out a fantasy. And he looked, ladies and gentlemen, now I go to the world's greatest gym. Okay, Interchamber, CrossFit, right down here in not downtown, but here in Lancaster, California. Phenomenal gym, phenomenal people, great. All right. And I've seen the people work out there. Most everybody that goes there, at least anybody that goes for any length of time, they get serious about their working out. All right. They get serious about their exercise. They get serious about the program that CrossFit Interchamber provides. All right. So when you go to a gym like that and you see how people work out and you see their movements and you see how they are serious about it, and then you see this Dylan Mulvaney, a skinny, twerpy guy in leggings and a sports bra doing these weird, goofy, silly, ridiculous jumping jacks, or what I assume were supposed to be jumping jacks and different movements like he's working out. It's embarrassing. I literally am embarrassed for this guy because one day, ladies and gentlemen, one day he's going to eat the right amount of food or get the right therapy or something, and he's going to have an epiphany. The light bulb is just going to go bing, and it's going to come on. And he's going to take a long look at himself in the mirror, and his whole world is going to crumble and fall apart. And if he comes across any of these videos that he's doing now, he's going to be absolutely humiliated. And so my heart goes out to him. Listen, I'm not saying he will, and I hope he never does. But this is one of the reasons why so many people in these types of situations commit or at least attempt suicide. They're broken people. They are broken people. But when they come to that realization just how broken they are and what that brokenness had led them to do and led them to be, they literally get so absolutely embarrassed and humiliated and fall into deep depression that could, I'm not saying it always does, but that could lead them to at least attempt suicide. I'm very concerned for this young man and for people like him. Very concerned. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, please pray for this Dylan Mulvaney, that God really gets a hold of him, and in such a way that brings him to complete wholeness and to a strength that he can handle what he has become, and he can properly process the way out. Now, I want to get to this. Also, this is another article published today. Oh, both of these were published today. April 11th, 2023. This one was just published just a little while ago. And it says, California Assembly GOP torches Democrats, for opposing bill raising penalties for raping a disabled child. Let me read that title again so you understand this. California Assembly GOP, that means Republicans, Assembly Republicans, torches the Democrats for opposing a bill raising penalties for raping a disabled child. The subtitle says, the California Assembly recently shot down a GOP-backed bill increasing sexual assault criminal penalties. And this was written and published by Houston Parks of Fox News. Let's see, where is this? Oh, it just changed. How did it change on me? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I just scrolled down and it went to a whole nother article. I'm back. California Assembly Republicans torched the Democrats on the chamber's Public Safety Committee for opposing a bill to raise penalties for raping a disabled child. Okay, so let me because I had to read this a couple times because I could not believe what I was reading, and I thought maybe I misunderstood this. But I read it a few times and I didn't misunderstand it. So the Republicans, California Assembly Republicans, torch. That means they yell at, they scream at, they come against, they whatever, however you want to call it, verbally assault the Democrats on the chamber's Public Safety Committee for opposing or being against, shooting down, not supporting a bill to raise penalties for raping a disabled child. So the Republicans want to give disabled child rapists, those who rape disabled children, they want to punish them with more severe punishments than they presently are getting. And the Democrats shoot this down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know you've heard me say this over and over and over. You're probably sick and tired of hearing me say it. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again until we see a shift in this United States. You can say whatever you want about the Republicans. You can say they're wicked, they're evil, they're racist, they're whatever. You call them whatever you want. But I'm telling you right now, and this article and the truth of this article proves that Democrats are on a whole new level, different level of wickedness. They won't even support a bill increasing penalties for men that rape disabled children. I told you before that any group like the Democrats that support abortion up to and even after birth, so they can't even protect the most innocent, and that's unborn children still in the womb. They won't even protect the most innocent among us. You take that just barely a slight small notch higher to disabled children, and they won't protect them. And you can't connect the dots. And then there's actually people who claim to be Christian to vote for these wicked, evil monsters. I'm beside myself. This is disgusting. Let me keep reading. It says the Golden State Lower Chamber GOP blasted the Public Safety Committee Democrats after they voted down Bill 808, proposed by Republican Assembly Devin Mathis, to raise penalties for sexually assaulting a developmentally disabled minor. Public Safety Committee Dems are opposing a bill to increase penalties for raping a disabled child, which can be as low as 3 years in prison, the California Assembly GOP tweeted. So, a man can go rape, sexually violate, rape a disabled child, and then their punishment could be 3 years in prison. Only 3 years for raping some of the most vulnerable among us. I don't even know what to say to this. I am beside myself with how wicked and how evil the lawmakers of this state, California, have become. And what gets me even more, we know this, we see this. This is on display every day, especially in California. And some of you listening to this podcast have voted for these scumbags. And some of you claim to be Christians and you vote for these scumbags. Have you ever heard of being an accessory to a murder or an accessory to a crime? So now somebody can go rape a child, a disabled child. The most vulnerable among us, a disabled child. If they get caught, they get 3 years only in prison. And you, Democrat voter, you're complicit in it. You are part of it. You belong there in prison. And you deserve a longer prison sentence than 3 years. That is perversion on the worst level and of the worst kind. That is sick. And some of you vote for these sickos. These sicko perverts. I just can't believe it. It's beyond me, and I'm disgusted. I am disgusted when I find out. When I meet somebody, I'm shaking hands and everything like that, and it may come up in conversation or whatever, and I find, wait, you're a liberal, you're a Democrat, you wicked pervert. Where is the hand sanitizer? I need it because I do not want what you have. Anyways, it goes on to say, earlier they unanimously supported higher penalties for property crime against wealthy victims, the Republican added. Disgusting. There's no other word for it. Public Safety Committee Chairman Reggie Jones Sawyer did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital request for comment. The bill raising penalties for raping a disabled child is the latest GOP-backed sexual crime bill struck down in the Democrat-controlled chamber. So this isn't the only one, ladies and gentlemen. So the Republicans in this state are trying to pass laws that will punish those in sexual crime, those who commit sexual crime, and in this case, raping disabled children. And the Democrats keep striking them down. That should not shock you. They're all perverts. They're all perverts. They're all pedophiles. They're all sexual perverts themselves. And if they can't do it themselves, then they certainly support their comrades that do it. Listen, I am not being, he's just laying it on thick. I'm just telling you the truth. And some of you still try to bury your head in the sand and then go vote for these perverts. What does that make you? An accessory to perversion. So it's as if you're doing it yourself. You're going to be held accountable when you stand before God. I don't care who you claim. I don't care how long you've been going to church. I don't care what church you go to. You've been going to a wrong church, a false church, if they haven't told you the truth about this. If you keep voting for these perverts, you're just as perverted. And you're going to stand before God and you're going to have to answer for this. Jeez, Democrats. Jones Sawyer, who recently helped kill a Republican-backed state bill that would have increased criminal penalties for those found guilty of various forms of sexual assault, including rape, explained his decision amid widespread backlash. The bill was broad, recategorizing nonviolent crimes and even misdemeanors as violent felony acts. Jones Sawyer previously told Fox News Digital, "This is another attempt to revive a version of the three strikes mentality of mass incarceration, which was a failed policy. We need to look at ways to reform our criminal justice system while advocating for diversion and rehabilitation programs that end crime cycles of all categories." The three strikes law came under a lot of scrutiny because I remember one story. There was this one guy, a career criminal. He had 2 strikes against him, and then he was out because he only had the 2 strikes against him. So he was out of prison, and he stole something. And because of the three strikes law, was back in prison for, I think, 20, 25 years. And what he stole was a piece of pizza from a little child. So this little kid was walking down the street with a piece of pizza that he just bought, and he's eating this, and this career criminal walks up and snatches that piece of pizza from his hand and walks away with it, stealing it. And then everybody freaked out and cried about this and whined, saying, this is not what this is supposed to be. He just stole a piece of pizza. Big deal. It's a $3 theft, to which I say, I don't really give a rat's behind what he stole. He still stole something. He's a criminal. He stole from a little kid. I don't care if what he stole was worth $3 or $3,000. That shouldn't matter. He still has not been reformed. He doesn't belong out in public. He belongs behind bars. Because anybody, again, that would steal from a child, something like that. And if he's that stupid, then he's not smart enough to be in society and culture. Come on. Now this guy here, well, this is like, 3 strikes law. Only it's dealing with sexual perversion, dude. And I don't care if it's taking what now is classified as a misdemeanor and making it a felony. I don't really care. If it's a sexual crime, it's a sexual assault. If it's rape, especially of handicapped, disabled children, then yes, maybe it shouldn't. These things should not be misdemeanors. They do need to be felonies, and these people do need to be behind bars a lot longer than 3 years. I can't believe this guy. I mean, this is unbelievable that we have these kind of perverts that the people of California themselves voted for. Anyways, the committee chairman, along with the rest of the panel's Democrats, voted last month against Bill 229, which would classify domestic violence, human trafficking, and several sex offenses as violent crime in the state. As a result, the bill failed to make it out of the committee despite the committee's 2 Republicans voting in support of the legislation. This is amazing to me. This is absolutely amazing to me. So we have all of these bills and such going into California, trying to protect people and punish the wicked that would hurt and rape disabled children. And primarily it's the Democrats that are shooting these things down because they don't want 3 strikes law. They don't want anything that resembles 3 strikes law. And we got some crimes that are, well, they're just misdemeanors, and you guys are trying to make them felonies. Well, maybe they should be. I don't know. I think this Sawyer dude, is just afraid that if some of these misdemeanors are actually now labeled as felonies with some serious prison time, he and his cronies will all be behind bars soon, because anybody that stands up for this type of perversion or stands against it in that regard, like makes way for it, I don't know. It just makes me think, what are you guys doing behind closed doors? What are you doing when the cameras are turned off? What are you doing when you think nobody else is watching or listening or nobody is around? Because nobody in their right mind, and that's the key, nobody in their right mind would ever put a stop to these perverts going to prison for a long time. I don't know what to say, ladies and gentlemen. Who are you voting for? Who are you voting for? Are you voting for the party and the people that are wanting to protect our children against rapists? Or have you been voting for the party, well, that pretty much opens the door and welcomes them in and even coaches them on how to do it? Because this, in the end, this is what they're doing. This is what the Democrat Party is doing, making a way for these perverts to have access to your children. And even when they do something really terrible, hey, it's just a misdemeanor. Slap on the wrist. Let them go free to do it again and again and again. All with the Democrats' demonically twisted blessing.
Democrats make me sick.
Thank you for joining us at Table Flippers. I truly appreciate you. You can write me at gwccrobert@gmail.com. That's gwccrobert@gmail.com. Please let me know how I'm doing. Remember to pick up some of our merchandise. You can find the link at gwcclancaster.org. That's gwcclancaster.org. Until next time, be continually blessed.